So you want to run an ultra marathon. You probably heard somewhere on the internet, whether it's a reel or a YouTube video about running 100k. You probably see the rise of run clubs. You probably see the rise of influencers doing a marathon without training or very little training. See people making it look very, very easy to run multi-day marathon and half marathons and runs across the country. And there's this peak rise of running because it's very simple to do. And it's not. Why trust me? I've done a few ultra marathons. I did a couple 3 years ago and I did another one 3 years later. And these are my points that I'm coming back to you from. Am I the best runner in the world? No. Am I an average runner? Probably a bit above average, thinking of all the runners out there in the world. My perspective is trying to come from a level of experience and what I've learnt through the ultramarathon process that isn't around the stats and the training and your heart rate and you need this many carbs and all that sort of shit. It's important to understand that sort of stuff, but I think these are the really important parts about running an ultramarathon that you may or may not realize and you really should think about before you start the idea of going out for an ultramarathon, because I tell you what, the kudos on Strava don't quite fucking cut it when you get to the 100k mark. Ultramarathons are moving from a point of I did a hard thing in a marathon to a personal therapy session with you and you for multiple hours out there. The idea to sit with your own thoughts and your own perspectives and where you are in the world and who you are is a big part of ultramarathons that people don't quite see. A lot of people start out because I like the idea of the outcome, what it means. I did. I want to prove something when I first started running these. And so what you really need to first sort of think about is, do you believe you can run an ultramarathon? The first time I heard about a 100k marathon was one morning when I was a lifeguard, overweight, and some guy came in who was a friend of the manager, and he was had all these bottles around his waist. I was like, what the hell are you doing at 5:30 in the morning? He's like, I'm training for a 100k ultramarathon. And I had the hell is that sort of look on my face, as I fucking should. And to the point of, over time, as I started to run a little bit, do 15Ks, do 20Ks, do halves, build my way up through Ironman, and then go, you know what, ultras are my thing now. I built up a base over a couple of years before I started to run ultra marathons. And so you've got to get to the point of believing that you can't do it, or that's freaking stupid, which it still is, to a point of actually believe I can kind of achieve that. And if you're watching this video, you're probably already at that point where you believe you can do it. But belief is this thing that you've got to know in your gut. I don't act super confident. I'm not the most confident person in the world. You meet me in a run club and I'm probably one of the most introverted people to start with, but get me going with the conversation and I really enjoy it. But belief is this sort of question in your gut. If you were to put a lie detector on and really ask yourself, do you think you'll finish it? To be able to answer yes. You're probably stupid at that point, naive, and you are 100% naive at that point in time. But you almost need that blind naivety at the start to be able to get your way through. But if you don't actually believe you can get there, no matter how big or how crazy it is, you need to kind of start trusting yourself that you can maybe do it. You can probably do it. No matter what sort of evidence or that sort of stuff, you're going to have to get yourself past the point of, with a lot of half marathons and marathons, having to run the distance before you run the distance. You've got to believe that you can do it without actually having done the distance. There's a little blind faith. There's a little bit of religion to running that you almost need to take on some of these aspects that maybe one day you might make it. Whether or not you actually do or not, that's part of the game. The second part is you gotta know that it's freaking hard. It is just hard. One of my mates who was a cox at the Olympics. I was trying to ask like this perspective of like, where's this gap between Olympians and like doing 100K? And it's the belief that when it gets hard, they're still pushing. For a 2K run, 2K row in the Olympics, they already saw 150 meters. They've got over 90% of this race left to go, and they're starting to hurt. One of the videos I watched on YouTube was like the Tour de France riders. One guy's been in there for 2 or 3 years after transferring over, and he's talking to one of the other riders. Finally, he's like, "Oh my god, why do you guys make this look so easy?" And the other guy laughed. He's like, "We're in just as much pain as you. We're just tolerating it." It's this idea of like everyone is sore. No matter who you look at, everyone is going to be sore out there. And you've got to be able to keep pushing through that for a long, long, long time. This video isn't meant to inspire you to do an ultra marathon. But if you're one of those sickos that kind of thinks about this a little bit, this at least gives you a reality check to allow you to brace, to know what the hell you are in for. If you're still watching up until this point, you really do think that there's something intrinsically interesting about doing 100K. And so you've got to realize just how hard it is, the training that leads up to it. You shouldn't be going out and just doing this off minimal amounts of training of just being a gym runner. Like, one of the parts of running is the training in the process to build yourself up to being it. The outcome of the ultra isn't finishing it. It's being able to do all the training and the race in itself to get you across the line. My first one, I wanted to quit at 30K as my very first naivety. But last one I did, I still wanted to quit at 30K. But it's the ability to suffer, the ability to learn to keep pushing, to find and play games with yourself of like another 5K, another 10K, to throw up and keep pushing forward, to know that you're a little bit sore and keep pushing forward, to know that you've got more than half of it to go, and that's still more than 50K, and you're still going to keep going. These things are not easy. Lots of people make it look easy, but you've got to go out there and like suffer and suck it up. The last thing is the most important question you have to answer. Some people answer by ignoring it. Some people actually truly answer, and I think that's the way forward, is why are you out here? Not for the medal, not for the freaking kudos, not because you saw somebody on TikTok doing it, not because you wanted to get that ego hit. Ultra marathons are, I feel like, this spiritual journey, this curiosity, an experiment on who you are and what you're capable of. To be able to answer the question, why are you out here? Anyone can quit, anyone can go home. But why are you out here? Why are you chasing your potential? Why are you so ambitious? Why is it that you keep going even though it's painful, even though you're shivering, even though it's cold? Why are you still out here? Why is it that even though you're throwing up, you still want to keep going? What I see most of the time from my personal experience and the people that I've seen run these races is most of them have got this pit of coal. This thing they're trying to prove and excavate and burn the hell up. This ability to try and keep chucking more coal, all the bad experiences, everyone that's ever doubted you, everyone that's hated you, bad relationship, bad friendships, bad work relationships, some terrible traumatic event that's happened to you. They've got this massive pit of coal, and that is okay. But you got to realize that that proof is just burning the coal. That's what happened to me 3 years ago. I got 100 miles into a 24-hour race around a track. Finished it. I didn't keep running because I couldn't answer that question. Why are you out here? Learn the lesson so you not keep pushing through the pain and the cold. You can start to transfer it to something a little bit more renewable energy like a solar or wind powered stuff. Yeah, you're still going to need that pit of coal occasionally. It's probably a lot smaller now to be able to burn for like when it really gets tough. But that renewable source is like this understanding, this acceptance, this self-awareness. One of the biggest changes for me between 3 years ago running an ultra and now is the first half was just hard. But the back half, I had people around me. I had friends that I'd called in because they'd finished their 50k runs. I just really accepted the fact of just how hard it was. It was the best 9-hour marathon of my life in the dark, in 2-degree cold, in the Blue Mountains of Australia. It didn't stop hurting. I just thrived and I just loved it. Where else would I rather have been? It's this pure chasing curiosity, this idea to see what the hell you're capable of. If you go back and look at my results, you'll see that I was 900th out of 1,500 that started and 200 people that DNF'd. The one thing about ultras is that, yes, it is impressive doing it. But it really is the journey. Don't cheat yourself of the journey. Don't try and accelerate through the process. I'm hoping that if you've got to this point, that if you've been able to answer those questions, whether or not you have the answers or not, I don't believe you can ignore that question of why the hell you're out here for that long.